So, do you want to start from the top? Yeah.
Yes, we'll go from the top. Also, guys, we want to make this as interactive as possible because we're all trying to figure this out together. So,
Okay.
I'm just gonna share a screen and show you a nice design.
So, and I just realized there's a typo in here. It's supposed to be a practical guide, but anyway. So that's one mistake, and we'll talk about that later on. Anyway, one of the reasons why we are calling it creating content freely is because, I mean, let's face it, the way to approach any form of content or any form of creation or any form of content creation is, well, the field is so vast and so diverse that there's so many choices that you have that there's such a thing as paradox of choice, which plays into the entire thing, and you sort of don't do anything about it. And that's not because you can't, it's just because you're so confused, right? And this happens to, I mean, all of us at every point, every stage in that process, right? So beginning is one stage, but there are multiple stages later on. So so that's why we figured we'll do a practical guide on how to create freely. So it's more about how can you start. It's more about how to start, because we can keep talking about everything, and we'll go a lot of places in that conversation, but we'll reach nowhere, because it's only when you start. Well, when you start is when you can apply what you learn eventually. Okay, if that makes sense. So anyway, when I was talking to Devdeep, he's like, we initially started this off with, okay, let's guide them in what should they create and how to, work around thumbnails and CTR and SEO and stuff like that. But those things are crucial only when you have something to work them into. If you don't have any content, then there's no point of making a thumbnail, right? So we asked a difficult conversation. What is it that, like, Devdeep and I can talk about, really? Because I don't have a PhD in YouTube or something like that. I don't think that exists. Anyway, so we figured that, I wish there was, then I could go for it. But anyway, the point being that one thing is certain, that even though we are so different from one another, there are some things which are similar, right? And one of those things is that we are always, not always, but like quite often, uncertain about our approach towards life / content creation. So we figured we'll talk about that and figure out a way to sort of see how can we handle that, right? And that's where this practical guide came into play. By the way, I can't see the thing I sent you, Dave.
Yeah. Can you see now?
Yeah. Now you can scroll up now.
Okay.
So, and scroll up again, sorry. Right. And so we want to talk to you about, I mean, we sort of came up with 4 pillars of this guide, and that is, like, one is to do, which is to put into action, right? The second is to make mistakes, right? Third is the whatever art that you're engaged in. And here, when I say art, I mean all forms of art. It could even be engineering is a form of art if you look at it, right? So art is a function of time, and I'll explain that later. And the fourth is analysis, right? So these are the 4 pillars which we need to be sort of aware about before we are starting. And
what's important here, Sharath, is that we decided to focus on the why instead of what, because you never know what works.
Right. One interesting interjection I can make here is that this is a book called Start With Why, and that'll give you a lot more clarity on the why aspect of it. We'll speak about it briefly, but if you really want to go in depth of that, then that's the book you should go for. So what do I mean by now? Can go back in the yeah. Mm-hmm. And there's a reason why this pillar sort of exists, right? Where did these 4 pillars come from? So most people don't think about this, and that's why, well, I'm talking about this. Any form of art form that you are a part of is not a finite game. You don't achieve, let's say, you don't achieve pottery. You are a potterer, and the moment you stop doing that, you sort of stop being a potterer, right? Sort of. So what the game we are in, and I say game just because there are certain rules, that there are systems and frameworks into any form of art. So it's an endless game, and it's more like a relay race, but a relay race without a finish line. And what I mean by that is, and only in this weird and like race, the ones who've started before you and the ones who know more than you, just because of experience and time, are behind you. Not in terms of progression, but just in terms of placement. And because it's a relay race, what they do is they have this information and knowledge that they pass on to you, and you take that thing forward. And when you look at that endless race from a overarching angle, it's the entire art form. So all of us are the players of that art form, and we are sort of taking the art forward, even if we might not go far ahead ourselves. We contribute towards it, but we are not the art form. We are just the players of the art form, right? And there's a reason why when you change your mindset from a finite game to an infinite game, that's when certain your methods are different, right? And it's also an endeavor by the means of analysis. And what I mean by that is that you can be mindlessly doing, you might be going with the flow, and that's also fine if you want to do that for a while. It's just that I don't think that you'll make a lot of constructive progress over time. And what I mean by that is that if you don't know where you're going, then you're going absolutely nowhere. And that can be fine sometimes when you're exploring. But I'd like to believe that all of us are here individually to better ourselves from what we are today, right? So it's about the tomorrow. And whatever we are doing, whatever sort of like, why do we practice? We practice so that the future self is better at that. Our present self will suck, but our future self will be good at that. That's why we sort of do a sacrifice of time for the future self, right? Dave, can you go to do the first point?
Yep.
Now, even though this list is I've numbered this 1 to 4, apart from the first one, you will realize that all of them are quite interchangeable. But the first one is the most important because, okay, as I said, if you don't have anything, then you can't you can't make mistakes till you've done something. But you have to do. That's like let's say look at that as a pyramid. That's the first, and then 2, 3, 4 are on the same level. So what I mean by to do, right? And to do is also in 2 parts. One is sort of like the theory of it, to learn. That is also something you have to do. You can't, a lot of people think that creativity is an abstract concept. And yes, the resultant and the process might seem abstract to an outsider, but you can sort of, there is a system which you might not be aware of, but there is a system. And that's why let's look at someone like Mozart or Beethoven. They're able to replicate that process over and over again. And obviously in that process, they create good stuff, bad stuff, and great stuff as well, right? But that's because they have a system. So that's why theory is important. And obviously, because there's theory, you can't just learn everything by reading about it. You also have to do so that you can apply that. And one of the reasons why this combination works is, for example, let's say, where does the theory come from? It's not written on the sun, right? We don't look at the sun and the sun tells us that be patient. We hear that from someone else, like for example, someone you look up to. And for example, if Simon Sinek says that, we are there for each other, that's what I pay attention to, and that's what I try following as a principle, right? But the way he said it is reflected in his life and his life experiences. So I have a sort of like a formula, right? But my life is different. I live in a different country. I was born at a different time, and I have my own unique things in my life which are different to his. So that formula might not apply directly, but that's only when I apply it will I know the difference, and that's where the practical part of that comes into play.
I have a question here. Even when you're starting with that base content, that first piece of content, whatever you're making, there has to be some kind of analysis to that also, right? You need to know why you're doing that first piece of video, post, photo, whatever it is, right?
Well, of course, true. It's good to know. Like that's where I'll give them give everyone who's starting out. And this might be, you might just be starting out in your own thing. Like I might, for example, the question answer series that I did was the first of its kind. So for me, that was me starting that thing out, right? So it's good to know a certain things about what you're starting out, and that's a good place to start at, because then you know where you are, and It's always good to know where you're going, sort of. But in the beginning, that's where I'm giving more leeway to explore. That sometimes you might just not know. That's fine. So one way to tackle that is to understand what you really feel. So maybe you feel like playing the guitar and you feel like playing the banjo and you feel like playing both of them. So do that. You don't want to analyze should I focus on this? Do it. You will see how you felt. You would have done it. So you sort of have more variables to play with. Like, okay, I felt like playing the guitar and I felt like playing the banjo. But the moment I played the guitar, I wasn't really that happy afterwards. But after the banjo, I felt great. So, okay, maybe I'll do 2 times banjo and 1 time guitar, whatever. And that's a trial and error. And that's basically how looking at mistake works, right? Looking at mistakes work. Another thing is that, as I said, that we have so many different views. 7.6 billion people, if I'm not wrong. And, so essentially, if everyone makes one mistake, that's 7.6 billion mistakes. So we don't have to physically do all those mistakes because that's not very efficient way of like going with it. So we have to learn from each other. And that's one of the reasons why this conversation takes place. And outside this Zoom call as well. So we need to be learning from others. But having said that, you can't always learn from others' mistakes because, as I said earlier, their unique life means that might play differently for you as well. So one of the reasons I'm saying this is that making mistakes is going to be the best teacher you'll ever face, because the moment you make that, let's say, that particular mistake, right, you sort of become the primary stakeholder for that mistake, and there's a certain degree of, well, shame or humiliation or embarrassment or guilt or anything that is, well, it's unique to individual person. You feel that, and that sort of plays on your mind. And if you are the one, and I hope that you are one that wants something to be better for yourself, you sort of look at that and you are like, okay, I have this thing that's a problem. And if you avoid that, then, well, that problem stays, it doesn't go anywhere. But the moment you recognize that there's a problem, and in whatever form you've recollected it, you're able to look at that and ask yourself, with respect to where I am and where I'm going, how does this problem play out? How can I use this problem to better myself, take myself to the goal, to where I want to be, right? And that's why it's that important to be the primary stakeholder for that mistake, because you need to remember, because our memory is not that great. You might forget. Like, I remember someone spoke to me about something I said to that person, probably not relevant for me, but they remember. So in 2016, and they said something, and for me, I have absolutely no memory of that, and it was a very important thing apparently, but I have no memory. So what I'm trying to illustrate is that our memory might not always serve us completely. So we might think we'll remember, but that's one of the reasons why I advocate for journaling and recording, even if it's just for yourself, because you get to have that thing stored in some form or the other, right?
You can go back to them also.
Sorry?
You can keep going back to them also.
Exactly. It's like that's the archival part of it. Another great thing about, and this is what some people face, right? They feel that, okay, I don't have the confidence to pursue it in the way I would want to. And what happens once you make a mistake, and let's say you've made a mistake, you might not be certain that you'll overcome it at that point, but you're at least certain that that's how it works. At least that's the way I make that mistake. So you are a little more confident about not being able to do that. And that acknowledgement is enough to A, improve on that, and B, place yourself in reality. So you're like, okay, next time I'm doing it, either I won't do it, which I wouldn't advise, or next time I want to do it, I'll make sure I'll take all the steps necessary to not end up in the same place as before.
But so in the first step, when you are just doing for the sake of it to get going, you might not even know the mistake you're doing, right?
That's another thing. Like, you don't even know what mistake you're doing till, well, you go back and introspect. So it's partly, well, the way I would look at making this a little more grounded is that, the amount, like, I can't really show this in an illustration form, but I'm going to try. So this is the kind of information, this is what you know, okay, in, well, everything till now, let's just assume this is that, okay, and this is what, like okay, no, wait. And this is what you don't know, okay, this is as big as that.
Better.
And everything is what we don't even know, right? And that's why learning is a very crucial part of it. So when you make that mistake, well, first, if you know that you're making a mistake, great. But I would look at that as let's assume you won't know that mistake, and that's where you keep doing. You go through a trial, and more than mistake, it might seem like a mistake. When I started blogging, I remember a lot of people told me it's a mistake. Well, it wasn't. Just so you know. But there are a lot of variables in that. But one thing is certain, that if you do something, let's assume 100 times, you will make at least mistakes 20 times, which is, I'm not saying that you should allow for that mistake, but some things are not in your control, and making mistake is a part of that. And not only a part of that, it's a very crucial part of that. I think I've only learned from making mistakes. I don't think I've learned from just learning. But that's me. You have any?
I so often when I have a lot of conversations with other artists and creators,
Yeah.
and this is especially comes from people who don't post or make content regularly, and the reason that they have is that I know I'm going to do all these mistakes, so I'd rather not do. And I think that's a sucky way of approaching things, in my opinion, at least, because that will never start. I mean, I know most of my YouTube videos suck, but at least I'm aware of that. And even if it's a 1% change in the next video, that is progress, right?
Yeah, I mean that is literally the most honest representation of progress. The first video you make is going to suck, and I've spoken about it sucking. Okay, it's going to suck to its core. Like every time someone starts anything, okay, that to be optimistic has to be the worst thing you'll ever create. Because if it's not, that means in the future that trajectory is going down. The first time you do anything, it has to be the most horrible way you do it. You have to risk being a fool. I mean, I can't elaborate that point harder than this, right? And that is, I mean, the problem is, when you look at movies and you look at some Instagram posts where it's poetic that, you suddenly get this idea and you change your entire life in like one night. And that's really a very twisted way of representing reality. It could happen.
That's why it's a movie.
Yeah, I mean, no, I mean, to be honest, it could happen for some people, but that is such a small, like, fraction of a fraction that, I mean, you can look at yourself as a genius, right? But that way you sort of stop yourself from learning things. And that's not the best way to approach something you want to get better at. If you think then you are not going to, go out and know more, because then you know everything, right?
So guys, just please feel free to chime in, give your opinion, ask anything if you have to, or if the conversation is becoming too spiritual for you, let us know, because we tend to do that. So please, guys, participate as much as you would like to. All right, moving on.
As minimally effectively you can, rather. One more thing about making mistake, which now, because you said that, I sort of forgot. So forgetting is fine. Third, can you go to the time thing? If I'll remember, I'll go back to that.
You want me to go back to?
No, go ahead. I meant
ahead.
Yeah.
Art as a function of time.
Okay, so now this is actually a very tricky. So I'll try my best. Let's lead with an example. Okay, so for example, let's say one of my goals towards that place where I want to be. Let's say this is the place where I am, and I think this is where I should go, which is, for the sake of argument, 100 videos. Okay, so that's your goal. That's amazing. Now you have to sort of work your way backwards. So I look at myself that, okay, in this particular example, it takes me 1 day to ideate, 1 day to shoot, and 1 day to edit. So if I'm going with that arithmetic, it takes me 300 days to make 100 videos. Just by that logic, it takes time. Now you add in that you have a life, you have other social obligations, you need rest. You need to also give it a break. You're not a machine that you have to keep grinding that way. So put all those factors in, it's going to take time. And this is not to discourage someone, but it's more like you shouldn't be rushing that. When someone told me,
this is just a technical analysis of time, right?
This is
just technical.
Yeah.
The time that takes you to reach there is another story altogether.
Yeah, and that is a rough framework against which you can work. See, okay, if I have to make 100 videos and it's going to take me 300 days, then I shouldn't feel bad on the 207th day that I've not reached the number, because it's not tangible in that time. You are aware of this small fact at least, right? And obviously then you also add in buffer time and all of that, and it takes 3-4 years, whatever. But if that is your goal, that is not my goal, by the way, because it's really complicated. Now, for example, I'll tell you what my goal is, and my goal is actually the first rule, and that is to do, right? So for example, if right now I'm wherever I am in my life, and my goal is to do. Now, the way I work that backwards is, what does it mean for me to do, right? I mean, it could be anything. Make videos is a very vague thing, because make videos is not something I can do in 1 hour, right? I have to break down my goal into tangible, well, framework, for the lack of a better word. So for me to do is to make videos. To make videos is to script, write, and edit. So now I know my timeline. So I know that one of my top three priorities every day is to at least give 2 Pomodoro sessions for writing, right?
What
One
is
Pomodoro
Pomodoro?
session. I'll come to that. One Pomodoro session for mind mapping and ideating, and that is something I do every day. Even if nothing happens in my life that day, one of my primary goal is to get up in the morning and do these three things. If I do that, I know in the next 4 years I'll be in a good place, to say nothing about what I'm doing, right? Now, for those who don't know what Pomodoro is a time management system where you work in batches of, in my case, 25 minutes, and you take a break after every 5 minutes. You do that for 4 times, and after that 4 or 5 times, and you take a half an hour break. It also works well with your, I'm going to say this word wrong if I'm not wrong. I'm going to skip that word. Basically, there's a cycle in your life, and where you have high
What's
and
that
low
word?
levels of energy, right? And this Pomodoro sort of helps in understanding that. Also, this is not something you can directly apply. So, for example, I get up at 6 in the morning, and my Pomodoro starts at 6:15, and that's been happening for the last, let's say, 3 months. I don't expect you to do that, because maybe in the morning you're not the best person, in the same way that I'm not a best person at night. I'm really lousy. So that's the way it works for me. So that's something, again, by making mistakes and giving it time, you realize how to make your schedule and all that. So anyway, basically my point being, it takes time. Okay. And not only, and that's from a technical aspect, right? From a metaphysical aspect, you're going to be changing. And one of the most important thing about creating 100 videos is that at the end of, well, let's just assume at the end of the first video, right? You are a person who's about to make that video, who has absolutely no experience of how to having done that, and has no experience of post having done that. The moment you do that thing which you want to do, you become a person who has done that. So just between the before and after, you're a person who's slightly more experienced, slightly more confident, slightly more aware, and slightly better in your well, that is if you're going towards your goal, right? You're a better person. So now look at that just happening in one video. Now imagine in 100 videos, you're going to be changing every video. Obviously, there'll be a diminishing return, but you'll be changing nonetheless. Now, the reason I say this is that once you change, hold on, my bad. Once you change, you also have to, well, sort of adapt to that change, because when you change, your life changes, and it also affects the people around you. And you have to be wary about that, because you are not, well, unless you're not living in a vacuum. You have a family, you have your responsibilities. And you, for example, last week I tried doing a biphasic sleep, where I was sleeping for 4 hours, getting up for 3 hours, and sleeping again for 4 hours. That didn't work. Okay, for whatever reasons, that happened last week. I'm going to try it next week again with a different timetable, but that didn't work for me. So that change, even though I made it happen and that worked for me for a while, I realized was not the best or the most optimal solution for me. So I have to reassess, and this reassessment takes time, because now I had to take 1 week off to just sleep normally as well, right? So these are the things which, and there's so many things like that. You're going to, one of the things, there's a video about why you should write, and I'll share that with you once this video is done. And it fundamentally changes you as a person, because you just become that much more sure about yourself and in your, well, lack of knowledge. Because even if you're aware of the lack of knowledge, it's a lot. Okay. And that is basically where it helps to understand that this is a process of change. Okay. Now let's go to the fourth one. Do you have a question on that, Pradeep?
I have a couple of things, but let's finish this, then we'll come to that.
Okay, now we'll come to analysis, and there might be some questions that you guys might have, in such that, okay, but how do I physically apply some of these things that I've heard?
Or how do I know what I'm doing wrong, even for that?
Or what you're doing wrong, that is. Well, if you're not doing anything, then you're not doing anything wrong. So then, right? But one of the reasons, like, when we discussed giving you ideas for, let's say, that was the first idea, what video ideas you engage in. And I told Deep that, that's not a very useful idea in the long run. Let's assume in this 45-minute session, there are, how many people are there right now? Let's say there are 10 people, right? And all of them want to make 10 videos. So that is 100 video ideas, 100 thumbnail ideas, 100 SEO ideas. Okay. Let's assume hyper realistically, we are able to give you that in 45 minutes, if that's possible, if whatever. What happens after that? After you make those 100 videos, what next? You won't be in a position to call me. Maybe I'll pick up the first 4 times. The 5th time, I'm not going to pick up. I'm being honest. Okay. So that's not going to help. What you're going to have at that moment is going to be yourself. And you, no matter how much you try to, and you shouldn't rely on anyone else that much anyway, right? And that's why we figured that we should give you something which you can apply irrespective of where you are. Because we don't know I don't know any of you guys, what you guys are doing on a daily basis. Your lives are unique. You have your own problems. I can't tell you this is what you should do and it'll work for you. That's a foolish way of like giving someone anything, right? So, one of the things that has helped us understanding is, and this is where the why comes in, that, once you understand why you're doing it, right, it gives you a direction, and that is what is important, and not a direction which is fixed in time. Your direction is also going to change. If you just look at the image in the background, look at that graph, it's going to be somewhat like that. You're going to have ups and downs, you're going to have back and forth, you're going to have left and right, right? Sometimes you might make great progress, but sometimes you might not, right? So your why will help you understand that, okay, I've made a mistake. You might feel bad, but at least now you know that you have to take that mistake out, figure out what went wrong. If you can't, maybe share it with someone else. Maybe they know it, but you've made that mistake first. So that is essential, right? You figure out why you made that mistake, understand whether that was it a mistake? Sometimes it's not a mistake. Sometimes you did something which was, well, in the form of mistake, something you shouldn't have done in the first place, right? So for example, if I were to give you my personal example, I used to upload whatever videos I was uploading on YouTube, but I used to also upload my music covers. And it was not a mistake as much as it was unnecessary after a point. And that's why I sort of figured that out for myself and I stopped, because I realized somewhere it's not making sense for me. And I know a lot of people will argue that no, it was nice.
But what made you analyze that this music covers are probably not the best thing to keep doing?
Time. Also, I realized it's something I felt, right? Okay, I'm making this, and I realized why I was making that. I was making that to meet a arbitrary number. That, hey, I'm uploading 2 videos, because my videos would take me 2 weeks to make, but a cover would take me half an hour. So it was easy for me, and that's what I did last year. I was like, okay, one way that worked for me was that I learned more, but I could have learned more with maybe something else also. So not completely rejecting that either, but it is what it is. So to figure out your why is very essential, so that once you understand that, then you're able to, like, one of the why is that this is going to take time, so you have to give this process time. I think Brenda is there. I'm not sure. Okay, Brenda is here, and she spoke about we're talking about something, and she said, I'm going to give YouTube 6 months. And for me, I was like, that's not going to work, because YouTube is going to take you more than 6 months. And why one should not approach it with 6 months is that once you don't reach it in 6 months, you'll think that there's something wrong with you, when it's not. That system itself takes a long time. For me, I'm still in my first year, and it's going to take me another 2 years for sure, at least. And that's what I feel, right? Because after reaching 1,000 subscribers, my life hasn't changed. Because honestly, slightly, but not at all, to be honest. I know it's very contrary to what I just said, but it's just that the moment I reached 1,000 subscribers, my life literally, physically, the things I was doing in my day-to-day didn't change. I was still getting up at the same time. I was still doing what I was doing the month before, because I was scheduled.
By this example, if you just go back to the point of art as a function of time, and the logic that I'll give YouTube 6 months. So this point is more about the acceptance of time, right?
Like acknowledgement of time.
Yeah.
If you don't accept it, it doesn't matter. It's going to still be there, but you have to acknowledge that, it is there, And it's something, a lot of people ask me, where do you get this number out of? Like, where is this 3 years coming from? Well, I'm actually pulling out, like, just making it up. It's more of a humbling tool for me. So for example, the moment before I reached 1,000 subscribers, I was like, okay, I'm in my second year of content creation. The moment I reached 1,000 subscribers, I resetted that to 1 year. Because I was like, no, I think I still need more time. And what I mean by that is, like, I'm not just saying that, like, it's not a random phase. What I mean by that is, it's going to take me that much time for me to understand a system where I'm not spending as much time figuring it out as much as I'm doing right now. Because right now I'm still in a state of, I still don't know what my voice is. I have a particular voice, okay, but I still don't know if that's the final form, and it'll never be. But this is where the diminishing return comes. At some point, I'll become my content-ish, and that's not happened yet.
Okay.
That's why I'm still experimenting with non-scripting videos.
So this is the analysis.
This is the analysis, and also this is one way of taking that forward. This is the like I wanted to do this since a long time, and obviously Corona hit. So doing a webinar thing for me is the act of to do. Making mistakes is what we are going to record this anyway. So I know the mistakes I'll make. I've already made a typo in the beginning. What is a practice guide? It's a practical guide. So that's a mistake I've already made. And and that there are things we've made, the mistakes we've made, we are not even aware of. And it'll probably come in 6 months, like to us. We'll have, oh, damn, I didn't say that, or I didn't do this, or whatever. But the point is that I'll be learning, and my next one will slightly be better. So that is the why, and like your why will explain to you how to do the what. Like my why tells me the videos I create. Like a lot of time, like my friends, like people who personally know me would always tell me that why don't you do it in.
Just for clarity and so that people can relate better, what is your why?
Okay, so now the thing is, it's not something I can explain in one line. I mean, to do is one why in this particular context, but your why is like your why is made up of multiple whys. So, for example,
never-ending question.
Sorry?
It's a never-ending question.
Not never-ending question as much as life is so diverse. You need to have slightly, you need to keep it flexible, and it's not a rationalization or it's not an escapism. What I'm saying. So, for example, one of my why is to do, another of my why is to be honest, and those sort of go together. So, for example, what the example I was leading up with was like last year, a lot of people told me that, why don't you do your videos in Hindi? You'll get a lot of views. Well, one, that was wrong because that's not how YouTube works. Like there's a SEO part which plays hugely. I know people who do it in India are not getting views. So that's not, but that's not the point. My point was that I could have done it. It just wouldn't have been honest. You know what I'm saying? So I could easily, the question that came into me was, should I do this in Hindi? My why came to my rescue and said, hey, that won't be honest. Now, if your another why would be to learn more languages, and Hindi was one of my why to like learn Hindi, then I could have done it because that would still satisfy another of my why. That works. And trust me, I'm still in that process. I read this book last year in February, and I'm still in that process of understanding that why, because it's again developing, right? It's like the more I know about me, the less I know about me. So I have to keep recalibrating that. It's always in that same space that the main overarching thing is that I want to be, and today I can assert that properly, I want to be a more responsible and competent person. That's my overarching why, if I have to sum up in one line. Now, how I do that is through conversations. And what do? I create videos. That's one way of showing you that circle. Now, when we were having sort of like a prologue conversation on how to create, like how to have, what to have in this conversation. Devdeep said that, I might have some clashing ideas which will contradict you. Should I not have that or something like that? I forgot about that because we didn't record that. And I remember what I said to him at that point.
Because
that was
we wouldn't want you guys to feel like Sharad and Devdeep are fighting in their own discussion.
Yeah. And sometimes the discussions appear like that, and that's fine because you have these, anytime you have a conversation with another person who wants the better for you and for themselves, you are going to risk a certain conflict, because if you're going to have an intellectual conversation and you want to better yourself, you have to risk accepting that what you know is not enough. So it might appear as conflict sometimes. Okay. But that's not the point. My point was that even though Devdeep and I do well, from the looks of it, our what might look the same. We create videos. My why is completely different. My how is completely different to his. But it's not a right or wrong thing, because there are different, and that's what I mean by there are differences in our similarities. Yet there are similarities in our differences.
And so I think the main similarity being that we are both endeavoring towards bettering ourselves. How we do it, why we do it is a different story, but the crux of it is that we are endeavoring.
Also that, but I'll give you a more technical answer to that. you could have any goal you want, right? There
Hold
is a
on,
biological way body functions,
repeat
which is
yourself. Your face
okay.
froze in between.
Right. Is it moving?
Yeah, now we are moving.
Okay. So there is a biological reasoning for that similarity. All of us have more things in common than not. All of us are most of us have two hands, hopefully. We have eyes to see, we have mouths to speak, ears to hear. We have blood. That's how we function. We can reason. We are cognitive beings. We have, there is a, there's a system in us which functions on chemicals, which is like, let's say, dopamine, endorphin, serotonin, oxytocin, cortisol. And these are there to help us function. So, for example, when I say that you have to write your goals down, okay, when you have a goal, let's say 100 videos, and then you divide that into one video per month or two videos per month, you can see that, okay, when you can see your goal and when you sort of achieve that goal, it's a small goal, but when you achieve that goal, your body releases dopamine, and that's a good feeling. That helps you. That's a feeling you get when you perceive that you're going towards your goals. That's why making lists is important. That's why writing it down is so important. And this is, you cannot deny biology. You can't, like, it might be different for you. Your goals might be different, but the way your body responds to that, if, let's just assume there's a guy who doesn't work out and there's a guy who works out, both of them will go to the gym. One will do one push-up, one will do 30 push-ups, but their bodies will release endorphins. That's undeniable. That is the body's way of functioning, and that's what is similar between us. So when we have conversation and when we are honest, and when that results in conflict, we feel something, and that feeling makes us a better person, because the moment you resolve that conflict, that just releases you of so much stress. Because let's just say, if you're honest about something, you don't have to remember what you said, so that automatically releases that part of you. Like, one of the reasons why I'm okay with forgetting what I said in 2016 to that friend of mine, because I know I was probably honest with him. So I know I didn't say anything which I wouldn't say today. So I'm okay with that. I probably wouldn't be able to say that about 10 years back, because I was a very different person then. But that's the point. And that's why sort of this conversation, this is the conversation we are having. Because, the questions, let's say after this, the questions you'll ask will not be something I might be able to answer and be certain that it's true. But I can at least tell you what I feel about it honestly, given my limited experience, right? And I don't know what you guys are up to every day, so you probably have more experience in some things than I have, so that could also happen. One last point which we'll do after the question answer thing is that I have a lot of let's just assume some people think that I have a great perspective towards life, and that's not something which has come out of that's not in my blood. It's not something which was naturally in me, right? There's experience. I've worked for 8 years. I've been on YouTube for 2 years. Again, 2 hours, I'm gonna say, right? I have certain experiences that way. And there's a lot of, I've probably read like 300, 400 books. I'm not sure about that number, possibly more. And that's just because when I was a kid, there were just these books. So I read all of that. I didn't understand half of it, but I was accepting that, okay, I don't know this. And then I could like work towards knowing that, right? So what my point is that I'm at this point where a lot of information has gone through me and I'm aware of that information. So with that said, I'm going to, and that's the sixth point of this practical guide, where I'll just tell you what to read. Like, start with why being one of those things, and like the biological reasoning for how we function. There's a video called Why Leaders Eat Last. You all can watch that as well. But we'll give you an exhaustive list. Well, not exhaustive as much as we would like to be. We'll try to give you a list, and then, I'll help you hopefully. Let's move on to questions.
Guys,
or do you have a question before that?
No, I don't have a question as such, but just one thing. Like, if we go back to the first slide where the 4 pillars that we have mentioned, more than pillars, they are interwoven together, right? Because as soon as you do or you make a content, the analysis part kicks in right there. You are analyzing, that's why you know that this is a mistake. You are giving it time, you are letting it grow. That's how you know that I have to make something else, so I have to better this or that. So it's like going in circles. Yeah. So
more than that analogy, I would just go with the pillars analogy, because the pillars are holding something, and that's the process. That's why they're pillars. Like you can't have that. Remove any of the mark. Like, and this is obviously this is what we think are the pillars. But if you remove any of the pillars, it sort of doesn't work. Like you can make mistake and you give it time, but you don't think about what you're doing. Well, it sort of doesn't work because then you're not working towards bettering yourself, right?
It's not a circle.
You remove the first point, none of the other things work.
Exactly.
Right. I mean, if it's a circle which never ends, but it's a spiral. It's like a 5D version, whatever it is.
Right.
All right, you can stop the screen share.
And guys, I don't know if you all were like, I don't know if you were hoping like we'll tell you make this kind of video and that will work, but we decided rather just tell you why.
I mean, I can
at least our why.
I can tell you in one line the videos you should make.
But
it's just that think about what you really want to make. Like it's and really ask that question. Like give it a month. Like ask yourself that question every 1 hour every day. Sit with that. Like be like, okay, what is it that I really want to do? Why do I want to do it? How does that change me? What does that give me? How does that make me a better person? Think about that. It's a very hard question. It's something we ask ourselves. We have to ask ourselves every day.
Yeah.
We have to ask ourselves every day. So it's not something that you have to do only in the beginning. Like I still ask me, like before. Well, I do this with every script of mine. I ask myself, why am I doing it? If I am not able to answer that, I don't go ahead with that. So,
and it's an uncomfortable conversation you need to have with yourself. Like there's no other way around it. And not many creators are talking about it. I speak to Sharat every day. That's why he kind of like keeps telling me, bro, think about this, think about that. But not many creators focus on this part, which will actually help you sustain in the long run.
Yeah, anyway, not every day. That's too much.
Yeah, like once every week, daily.
Yeah. Every time he wants to do a self-analysis, he calls me.
Yeah,
which is so counterintuitive, but
giving us too much importance.
Right,
guys, shoot.
I'm gonna mute myself for a bit. Just ask all.
Go for it, Gaurav. Can you unmute yourself, or should I? Do I have to unmute you?
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
So I felt this conversation was more on the basis of growing organically overall and having a own method to madness when you want to be organic about your growth. But probably you could skip a lot of steps in that 3-year plan and get ahead to that 3 years much faster if you were just pouring money into it. Now again, how much money everyone does put in differs according to everyone's capability, of course. But what has your experience been with regard to paid marketing overall?
Sir, we should take that definitely.
Yeah, so I mean, putting money is great, but it becomes very difficult when you don't know what you're doing yourself. And I'm not talking about making videos for someone else. That's a different thing. Making intentional videos. For example, if you know you're making a video for, let's say, Mother's Day, so you know about that. You know the intention with that. You know the idea. Okay, that light is gone anyway. So anyway, the point is, when I'm looking at content creation, it's about making yourself better. So probably in your first 100 videos, you don't even know what you're doing, and promoting that will just attract people and confuse people. They'll be like, okay, this is not something. Well, how do I find value in this? So to figure out how to give optimal value, also something which you can sustain. Like let's just assume I put in 10 lakhs. Okay, a random number. I put in 10 lakhs, write a perfect script, and I put it on YouTube, and I market the hell out of it. I get some views. Okay, now to create another video, I need another 10 lakhs. So yes, I can find people to do that, but now I'm in a cycle of relying on other people for content. And then the moment you add in money, the risk factor goes up. And I'm not even saying that don't add money. I'm saying add money, but first figure out what it is that you want to do and be happy with it, right? For example, if you look at my videos, I don't put money in my promotion. Very rarely. I probably spent 1,000 rupees, in 2 years.
Yeah.
Because I didn't see the point of pushing it down people's throat, because I genuinely believe in the word of mouth right now. And and that happened for me when I made the script writing video. It hit all the markers. I literally propelled from 630 subscribers to 1,200 in about, let's say, 2.5 months. It took me around 3 years to reach the first 630. but it took me 3 months to reach the next 330.
Hmm.
And that happened because of one small video. And now I'm not going to make another similar video because, well, I still don't know how to make it perfectly like that. I don't make it a main process. So, I'm still learning. So I would suggest that put in money, but only once you're certain that the thing you have made is able to give value to someone else as well. Right? And but before that, you can always check this with the people around you. Most of the times people, like, I make a video and people randomly start sharing and I'm like, oh, that hit a nerve. I'm like, great, not in that aspect, but that worked. So let me just promote it a little bit more. Right?
Better way of
And
analysis also.
Yeah, and for me, the script writing video I've probably spent the least amount of money, but is the second most watched video on my channel. So it's not the best approach because then you have higher expectations and then you expect returns. So that might not play well in your sustainable behavior.
Right.
I hope I've answered that.
Yeah.
What else, guys? Varunika. You will have to unmute us. Oh, my bad.
Yeah, you have to unmute all of them.
Yeah. Hi. So you mentioned that your why will sort of tell you what to do, right? But then there are a lot of times, say something topical is going on, or there's some sort of topic that sort of aligns with your type of content, but not with your why. So how do you sort of go about it if it's just not with your why, and do you just go about it just in a way of making mistakes, or how?
Okay. Can you all see? Am I moving? Because I feel like my internet is gone.
No, you are moving.
Okay. Okay. So now, so there is a daily process, which is what you're doing on a day-to-day basis. You have a fixed process, right? So, for example, for me, I can be sure that I have around 5 hours in my day which are fixed, where my activity is fixed, unless I have some meeting or something like that. So that is something I'm going to do on a day-to-day basis, irrespective of what's happening outside. That is unaffected. That's something I'm working on every day. Now, for example, we spoke about something particular happening, right? So for me, what happened recently was I hit the 1,000 subscribers. That was not something which was in my routine. So for that particular event, my why for my personal life will stay the same, but at least it's good to ride the waves. So if you want to ride, like for example, if you want to make a video for Mother's Day, or you want to make a video for, let's say, Corona, do that. But understand that that's an experiment in itself. And it's fine to do that, but understand that this will be something you'll have to, so for example, you might using all the knowledge you have from your practice, you make a video on Mother's Day and it's beautiful. It's brilliant. Right? And because it's on Mother's Day, you share it on Mother's Day. Let's say everyone shares it. So you get a lot of traction, right? But having said that, we shouldn't expect that to affect the next video because that might not have the same parameters in place. So I would actually urge you to take, this is what I would say is calculative risk. I'm assuming in this particular scenario, you also have the time and bandwidth to do that. So do that, because that's just going to teach you more things. You know what I'm saying? It'll help you understand, and probably you make a bad video on this Mother's Day, but you realize that, oh, this is what I did wrong. I made it on the day. Maybe next year I'll make it a month before that, so that for the entire month it goes like that, and things like that. So it's all these questions, like writing the trends, specific events which are happening outside, outside our control. I would suggest take the risk, but in a calculative way, if you have the time for it. Of course, like don't avoid.
And it's always a good idea to balance things also. Like a lot of filmmakers say that they'll do one project for themselves and the next project for money. So it's essentially that logic as well. But as long as you balance it out and not just sell yourself for content and views, I think you should be okay. Right. I see some raised hands. Okay. I'm very bad at this. Brinda, I think you can unmute yourself. Yeah, Brinda. Anish.
Wait, now Brinda has unmuted herself.
Yeah.
Wait, sorry, I lost you guys. No. So my question was very similar to Veronica's question. So I mean, I've got the answer.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
See, Varunika is already asking the popular questions. Go for it, Anish.
I wanted to ask you that the same question as Varuna said, that like if I want to make content based on three topics, one could be what I want to say, like self development, and one could be comedy genre or some other thing, like whatever things are happening in real world. So like whatever I've searched in YouTube, most of them are saying that you should go in a way that is happening. So I don't know what is the correct way of
Can
making.
you repeat the last point? Can you repeat the last point?
The last point is that if I have three content ideas, for example, one is a daily whatever news are happening around us. Second is what self development, and third is like whatever comedy or whatever entertainment do you have, you can portray that. So I just want to know like, and also I've searched on YouTube that they all of them are saying that you should just carry the same way, like only one, like you understand one category. You don't have to be try on to multiple categories. So just want to know.
That's a good question. You know why? Because even I face that dilemma a lot. Because I sometimes make music, sometimes I'm doing podcast, sometimes I post my photography work. So I myself get very confused.
Yeah.
So Sharad, you should answer that for me also.
Okay. So this is one of my favorite questions because this is one of the biggest. I would call it toxic constraints that have been tried to be put on me. So there's such a thing as I didn't know this quite recently, about 5 years back. There's such a thing as being multi-potentialites, okay, and being specialists, okay. You know the most common phrase that you are a jack of all but master of none, right? And that's something I used to face a lot about 10 years back, okay, in college, because I used to play music, I used to do fashion shows, I used to make short films, I would be in the band and stuff like that. Okay, and everyone told me that, hey, you're jack of all, master of none. Cool. And I sort of accepted that. It was eventually in the years to come that I realized that not only were people around me not masters of anything, the ones who actually focused, but I was actually better at 3-4 things better than all 3 people combined. And this is sort of like a brag, but it is what it is. What I'm trying to say is that the way this is actually trial and error. Okay, a lot of people will tell you to stick to a niche, and and it's funny because the name is Anish, so it's like
I'm glad you're not doing comedy.
They ask you to stick to a particular niche, and because focus. You should focus on what you want to do. The problem is most of the time we don't know what we want to do. Okay, so the way to tackle that is first address what you want to create. So you just said you want to create those 3 things, right? Now the dilemma you have is only because you've not made any of those, right? So my example to you is similar to the guitar and the banjo example. First, create like this, and this is a rule I keep telling Deep. Make 10 things. Make 10 different things that you like. Okay, out of which some of them you'll feel good about, like better about, right? Some of them will work. Figure out that small subset. So maybe 3 videos worked well and you loved them more than others. So you found the 3 videos. Figure out what worked in those 3 videos. So take those points out. Using those points and what you feel next, make 10 more videos, right? Repeat that process. This is also making mistakes, also function of time and analysis, all in one. That's what I mean by keep doing and doing and doing, and that's how you. Obviously, this takes time. Like this is going to take. You should actually go to the oldest videos on my channel, and that's, by the way, this is not even my first channel. I had a channel before this where I used to upload all my videos from college and stuff like that. You have seen that. These people
I can blackmail you for those videos. Huh?
I have publicly kept it online because I'm honest that I'm fine with that. So you can't. One more great advantage of being honest is no one can blackmail you. But that's besides the point. I hope I answered that question. Just let me know if I can go.
Anish, I have the same problem often, in fact, all the time. And how I deal with that is I just do whatever makes me happy, man. That's as simple as that.
He said okay. He was on mute, but he said okay. I could read his lips.
He's agreeing to it, I think.
Yeah. He said okay. Now you're still mute.
So yeah, I was saying, that's great. Yeah.
Alright, Brinda raised hand. I think Brinda has one more.
It would be easier if you're on camera. We could actually see your hand being
Yeah.
Okay, so my question to Anish's question, as in just adding on, is if you have about 3 or 4 interests that you want to put on your channel, would it be advisable to have like different channels for different things? For example, you had music
Yeah.
covers and you have vlogs and whatever else that you are documenting. Wouldn't it be better to have 2 different channels so that you don't have to, so that it's not a jumble of everything, like everything's jumbled up in one channel, but then you can concentrate and also satisfy both, both your needs.
right. So that makes sense. That
We've
works.
had this conversation, Sharad, before.
We've had, yeah. This okay. So now I actually agree with you, but to have, well, the I'll start with the implications of having 2 separate channels. We have to first, when you start 2 separate channels, you are basically asserting that you're sure of these 2 entities being separate, that there's no mix over. Okay, and maybe you're right. Okay, so I'm good with that. If you are certain that, well, if you like, the way I look at it, I've made around 48 singing covers on this particular channel, and I've made the rest are normal videos, right? Now I can start a separate channel for my singing thing. I don't want to, because I just don't have the bandwidth to do that, right? So I'm not doing that. If I had the bandwidth, I'd do it. Another implication which happens with having multiple channels is that you need to then have multiple brand guidelines, different colors, different fonts. So that's extra work, and you can do it if you can do it. That's the sentence. You can do it if you can do it. If you have the bandwidth, if you have the time, if you have the resources, do it. But it is a bit difficult. So while I agree with personally being a multi-potentialite, I would not sort of create multiple channels, because then where do you stop? Like, okay, vlogs is one channel, YouTube videos is one channel, music video is one channel. And also this is now something which is I'm not sure about today, but in the next 10-15 years, anyone who's creating content, it's very imperative that you become the brand itself. You need to put your face onto it. Even if you're conscious about your face, that's fine. I get it. There are people who've done it without their face also. It's just that much more difficult, but doable. So in the future, it makes sense to, future, it's better to foolproof the system by having your face as a brand. Because, a friend of mine called me one day and he spoke about, we were just having a conversation like I have with Devdeep. He's like, bro, if I want to know about a script, to write a script, I'll go to the expert. And I'm like, that is you, but there are people who use YouTube as their primary search engine. You're making videos for them. So when they search YouTube script writing and they see, let's say, Christopher Nolan tips on script writing, they'll probably not click on him because they're like, oh, he's so much bigger than me. There is little which is similar to him, right? So they are more likely to click on someone who's more that they can look at them and be like, oh, he's a friend of mine. That's the personal touch which is YouTube. People want to know who, okay, this guy he's the same age as me, around the same age. He looks like me. I feel that he's me, So that's what people are looking for. And,
not intimidating, right?
And we are 7.6 billion people. People, even though people are different, they want to be the same. And that sort of plays on with that aspect. So to answer your question again, make a different channel if you want, but if you've not done a lot of videos or if you don't have enough experience with those particular properties, I find it difficult to see how you would manage that well. So
Gaurav, what's your question? I'm still unable.
Like platform might change. Maybe YouTube today.
Neha, you're unmuted now.
Wait, now Gaurav was talking.
Yeah, sorry, Gaurav, go on.
Are you ever really worried that the main platform which you want to operate with is going to change? Like today, it is YouTube, but just 2 years down the line, it might be something completely else, and 1,000 or 10,000 subscribers won't matter at all.
True. So that's the best. That's the most beautiful. That's one of the reasons why I'm a proponent of sustainable content. Because now look at it this way. What is my why? It's to be a more responsible and competent person. The how is by having conversations. The what is by doing it on YouTube. If YouTube goes away, the what changes. my how remains the same and my why remains the same. So I'm still able to, I'll do more of Zoom calls. Maybe that becomes the property. I don't know. My whole thing will be to adapt to a new what. But because my why stays the same, I'm able to push through that. Because I'm like, okay, YouTube is gone. I might be able to get a tenth of the followers, maybe from YouTube to the next platform, maybe. But I'm fine. I'll just start again. You understand something? That's how I would approach it. And I've prepared for this. So like I've already downloaded my videos so that if YouTube goes away, if a new platform, let's say a new video platform comes up, I'll just put the videos there. If a new audio platform, which is more likely to come up, then I'll just convert my scripts into more audio based. You get what I'm saying? So
And this is exactly why today's conversation is about why and not what.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Neha, finally.
Can't hear you.
Can't hear you.
I have a feeling your mic is on mute from the headphones, if I'm not wrong. If there's a toggle there.
Now,
Yeah, now we
Yes.
can hear you.
so what Brinda asked, adding to that question, my question is that, so for example, if you've grown your channel to a particular number and then you figure out that some of my videos are a different niche and I want to start a different channel with that, that is something that you can do later on in life, right?
I mean, you answered your question, so
Because initially starting both the channels from zero might be very difficult, but once you figured out how to take care of one channel, you can definitely try and take care of another channel as well.
I mean,
okay. So
that's what this beer bicep guy did is essentially. He started with fitness video and whatnot. I don't like his
No, I
channel,
mean-
but anyway, now he's doing podcasts. So his that loyalty is still there, even
Yeah.
if not 100% to an extent, it is there.
but I mean, the way I would look at that is it's a strategy which has been already deployed by a lot of other channels.
Exactly.
What
Yeah.
one way what works is, for example, the more your channel grows, and at some point you start making money, or you're able to invest money from your actual job into that. So you start allotting resources. That's why it's important to understand what your workflow is, so that it can be replicated. So, for example, maybe like for example, right now I'm looking for an editor, right? So I can shoot 10 videos at a time, give it to him, shoot for my next 10, and he's still working on the edit. Now what happens is I have resources. Now since I have an editor, now I can do music covers and ask him to edit those on for the next channel. As you grow, you start building systems into your process, which will help you become when I say better, what does that also mean? More competent. You can do more. You're able to, facilitate thought, ideas. Also, in one of the ways, and this is where Simon Sinek's service to others comes into play. The more you help other people, the more they become a part of your process. Maybe, for example, me and Devdeep and I have done podcasts together. So there's a crossover happening. So this video is probably going to go on his channel. So I don't have to worry about editing this particular video. It's still satisfying my why, my how, my what onto his channel. And now I'm able to be a part of a bigger conversation. So tomorrow, as Gaurav said, let's say YouTube goes away completely. I can still have conversations. You know what I'm saying? So my point being, once you grow, you start understanding that you also get that confidence, that okay, I can shoot 3 videos at a time and do my work in batches. And because you're able to do that, because you're able to build better systems, you are able to get into another channel itself. Also, there's such a thing as content pyramid, which I think Gary Vee started. So what he does is he goes to let's say a conference, he talks for an hour. Okay, his production team records the entire thing with the audio, puts it on YouTube. Then they take the audio out, make it into a Spotify thing. Then people comment, right? For example, oh, what he said at 15 minutes was amazing. So the production team takes the 15-minute content out, puts it on Instagram, and that's how they build it. So out of just one thing, you're able to create so many other things. So for example, if you're a vlogger and you're into music, let's say you go traveling. So you have a travel vlog, you have a music cover, and you can also do a podcast in that one travel thing. And you can do that for your 3 channels if that's how it works for you. So yeah, definitely.
Right. Okay, Prathamesh and Shivani haven't said anything, guys. Come on. Let us hear you. No? Nothing?
You have another question, yeah?
Yeah. So my primary question was that whenever we read about starting a YouTube channel or how to go about it, there's one thing that is always there in any blog or any video, that you should be prepared with a number of videos with yourself so that you don't end up like after 2 videos you don't have anything to upload. Like should go with the should someone go with the flow, like I'll shoot and upload, shoot and upload, or have a bunch of bank of videos to go about it and then figure out how to go?
Okay, so both the strategies work. So right now, the way I started off was uploading as I was making it. That was till February. Around February, I built better systems in terms of my writing schedule, my sleeping schedule, my work schedule, shooting schedule. And currently, so just today I finished 4 scripts. Okay. Next, when I say I finished, they started off 4 months back. So finished, let's say yesterday or something. So I have 3 scripts. In the next 2 weeks, I'll shoot most of them, but upload only 1, right? And not this Saturday, next Saturday. So in the next 2 weeks, I'll upload 1 video. But since I've already shot the other 2 videos, I'll be free for the next 6 weeks working on, and that's how I am. When I was doing my podcast, the ensemble series, I was free for 2 weeks. So I would make my video and I would make a podcast because I would take such little time, and I would upload both the videos. And then I was free for 2 weeks always. But having said that, now that I've done this mistake of starting off, now this obviously depends on you. If you know you want to make vlogs for sure and you haven't started at all, I would ask you to build a bank and start uploading for sure. Stick to a schedule. Like that will help you better because you've not started, so it doesn't matter. But you've started behind the scenes, so that's important. You don't want to start with your upload. You can probably the only thing is I wouldn't wait too long to upload it, because after a point you might, because your skills are going to improve and you might start re-editing the videos. So what happens is then you get stuck in that, oh okay, I can still make it better. Oh, I can still make it better. So don't do that. I would, if I have to give you a suggestion, figure out what your vlog ideas are for sure, and try to upload and shoot and upload them in a span of 3 months. And once you started uploading, maintain a schedule. So every Saturday or every day, if you can do that, every Saturday. And once you know your schedule, you'll also figure out how long it takes for you to make those videos. So that'll help. So if in a month you can make only 2 videos, then it makes sense to only stick to 2 to 3 videos a month schedule, so that you don't run out of your videos before you create them. So that's something, that assessment is something you have to do on your own. But definitely create a bank.
Guys, if you analyze this, then we are back to the 4 pillars: to do, analyze, time. It's the 4 pillars is just coming in different forms of questions.
Yeah. Well.
All right, Shivani, go for it. You are unmuted right now.
Yeah, so my question was, I think y'all all spoke about a lot of things and I kind of understand that. I recently started my YouTube channel and I've been uploading like my dance videos and stuff on it. So I have like a couple of videos which I have put on like another social media platform, which is Instagram. And so now I just want to shift all those videos onto the YouTube channel. So it's not like I don't have content. I do. I already have those videos. Yeah. So I'm planning to like put them up like every 3 days or every 2 days, just to like keep this month like a consistent thing of like, you know, keep uploading things. But now the one thing I don't understand is, this is not a question to be asked right now in this, because we are concentrating on the why. But since I have so many questions on, you know, having this channel like kind of promote itself and have a lot of people like get the traction and stuff like that. So I really don't know how to kind of go about with it, or I don't understand like the algorithm behind it. I don't know whether I'm saying the right
No. I understand what you're trying to get at. I get it.
So yeah, that's something that I don't understand. Like, okay, I kind of know the why that I need to do, because I want to promote like the dance and I want to like keep creating content around this particular subject.
It's the how of the how.
Yeah, that is true.
Okay.
Yeah, So I'm a bit confused as to how do I go about with this, because I have no idea how to do it,
Okay.
because I just recently started it, and I'm just like asking
Right.
people.
Okay. The thing is, I know the answer to this question. It's a bit layered. Okay, so now one thing, even though I've said you should be working you should have a bank of videos, and you should work that way. What you can also do, you don't have to work every day technically, or rather, you don't have to be uploading regularly for the year. You can work in seasons. You upload for 6 months, take a break if that works for you. Okay, so now because you have a bank of videos. Now, before we speak about what to do with the bank, every video on YouTube has either of the two purposes. Either they're informative or they're entertainment. Dance is majorly entertainment. Majorly. I mean, I don't remember all your videos, but I'm guessing you're not talking in the videos, right?
Unless you're teaching dance in that video.
Unless you're teaching dance,
yeah.
and that becomes information, right? So now most of it is entertainment. Now, depending on how much social media presence you have, you will get some views on it, because no one is going to unless you're for example, big enough, no one is going to search for Shivani Mistry dance, or they might be searching. Maybe 30 people are searching for it for you. I don't know the number, okay, but that means every month you'll get 30 views from that term. So that's not the best approach, right? But what you can do is figure out what your videos are around. So maybe they are just the primary keyword would be Indian for sure, dancing for sure, maybe the location, and maybe the song. So using all these four parameters, you create an SEO. You'll have to read about on that a little bit. Create an SEO so that people come for that video. Like they search and they come for your video, and not just because you sent them the video or they came to your profile, and people have to search and come to your video. Okay, so that takes care of what the videos you upload. You'll start getting some traction. Okay.
Keywords.
Primary keyword is very important. The second thing is you have to understand that if you might upload one video every day from now to, let's say, the end of the month. You have 30 great videos. Because of the way YouTube works, you will get some subscribers. But what after that, right? Because no matter what happens, entertainment is not something people are searching for as much. I mean, they're searching for it, but they always want new entertainment, right? They're like, okay, I saw this stand-up. They might see the stand-up gig 5 times, okay, but they'll want to watch a new one, preferably, right? So them coming on for a well, what do I say? Let me come back. Wait, I lost my train of thought. I'm so sorry. Right. Okay. So it doesn't matter if you upload it every day, because after that month gets over, then what? That's the question, right? So now you can still upload your videos onto the channel, and you have a set playlist. So when people come to your channel, they see, okay, there are 30 videos. She dances on something, and by good graces, they subscribe and they stay. That's one strategy which is definitely going to work for you. But now what you need to work on is getting more people onto your channel. Okay, so that can happen. See, right now, the main thing which is driving YouTube and Google is the search engine. And people are not searching for entities as much as answers. Everyone's like, how do I deal with anxiety? Or, how do I become more flexible?
How
they
to
are
get
always
more subscribers.
Or that, they're always looking for answers, and they are looking for those answers through questions. So now figure out how can you place your dance in those questions. So one way of that would be if you're a dance movement therapist. So you can talk about dance movement therapy through dancing. So that's something people are searching for. Like they might be searching for good Indian dance movement therapist in India, stuff like that. Or maybe there's a new music video coming out or has come out, and people want to learn that dance move. So you can make a tutorial on that. So they'll come for that, but they'll stay for your other dance things. And there's a crossover. So that's another strategy of working. But now again, you'll have to do it. So now the moment you do a dance tutorial, maybe, and you do it in 3 different ways. One is while you're dancing, you're talking. That's one method. One is there's a voiceover and you're talking. That's another. One, there is you're not talking with that text. You'll do all those 3 things and you'll figure out, okay, when I'm talking, I get more views because people like that. Maybe people like the text because they're watching it in the train. Though I don't know why they're watching in the train, but it could happen, right? But so that's how you do those 10 things. You figure out the most you can do with this tutorial. That tutorial is one definite way. But what will also help if you look at the other dancers on YouTube, not great dancers who have a YouTube channel, but YouTube are dancers first, because their algorithm will work slightly differently, and you want to be a more YouTuber dancer right now to start off with. Okay, so look at what they are doing, see what's working for them. Now dance is your main thing, right? But what does dancing mean? To be fit also. You can also make videos like a day in the life of a dancer, a day in the life of a ballerina, whatever. Basically, this is what people want to see. So you can work on those tangents as well. But because I don't know much about dancers, one way to do that would be to go and see references of what other people are up to. That's one way of looking at it.
And the point that we were discussing with Anish, like you can do one for your own satisfaction, you can do one for the audience, which audience will react more to. That's always a good way to balance things out. And again, coming back to the pillars, that to do, give it time, analysis, make errors. Again, it's coming back to those 4 pillars.
The way I would look at it is you do everything for yourself, and you know how that affects other people as well. Like it's going to affect. Like I don't make my videos. See, I document my videos in the rawest form possible, but I know how to use SEO to my advantage. You know that I'm like I can't. If I had made a video like today, I'm writing a script. No one would have clicked on it because no one cares. But how I write my YouTube script is a bit intriguing. So I know how to use certain SEO. Well, I wouldn't say tricks, but techniques to get people. I know how to use my thumbnail. If I just kept my face on like I used to last year, no one would have clicked on it because no one cares about my face. But there was only a notebook. So they're like, oh, minimalist. So they clicked on it. That worked for me. So, and because that worked for me, by the way, because that script thing worked for me, I changed all my thumbnails later on according to that style because that worked for me. And because that worked for me, then other videos start getting more traction. And that's the trial and error. So you'll have to probably do these tutorials, do these videos on the day in the life of dancer, fitness tips. What do I eat on my dance days? How do I recover as a dancer? So stuff like that. Because you have to understand, people, the audience is going to look at themselves as you. So how is the other person dealing with this problem that I am having? And how can I benefit from that?
So keeping dance as the main route, you can branch out.
One suggestion I would give you is just mind map dance. Like just write dance and see whatever is related to that. So fitness, food. You can talk about discipline because being a dancer is discipline. It's about talking about. See again, you and I are talking about the same thing through different mediums. I'm talking about consistency. You also talking about consistency, but their art forms are different, right? You can talk about being. You can talk about strength in a different way. I can talk about strength in a different way. You can talk about why is it important to be disciplined. And there are people who click on me because they want to see a writer's perspective. There are people who look at a dancer's perspective because they are that, right? And there could be someone who's both. And there are people, and a lot of people who are none. So they'll not click on our videos and we won't get views. That's fine. But I hope I've answered that question.
Yeah.
But one more thing. The unfortunate thing is because you're doing dance, and your dance videos, I'm guessing, are less than 2 minutes.
Yes.
Or average 2 minutes, right? What works right now on YouTube is the audience retention. So the longer videos work better. So right now the trend is 10 minutes. So what happens is you have to go to your audience retention. Okay, you go to your audience retention. You have to see how much people are watching. If I'm not wrong, if your video is 2 minutes, they're watching probably 30 seconds. That's your average audience retention. 30 to 45. It's very humbling.
Even like that too.
So I made my 37-minute video, right? That 37 minutes. The average retention is 7 minutes, which is fine, which is normal. So what happens is, but it's 7 minutes. So my 7 minutes are bigger than your 40 seconds. So YouTube, for the same subject, will push my video above yours. Because now look at the way YouTube thinks. If a person is watching your videos, they are on YouTube for 40 seconds. So in 40 seconds, they can see one ad. If they are on YouTube for 7 minutes because of my videos, they can see 7 more ads in the same time. So they are thinking marketing wise. That's why watch time is an indicator of how much your ranking will be affected. So it's not a pseudoscience as much as, also there's a paper on this left by YouTube. It's a very technical paper. No one understands it. But there's a person called Jarvis. He's made a video on why longer durations work better for you. So don't worry about, now obviously now that you know this, you know you have to make longer videos. And you can't make 5 dance videos, combine that and make a video. No one will watch that. They'll be like, I should watch this compilation. So then you can do a day in my life because that will definitely be a 10-minute video. Well, hopefully, So stuff like that. And obviously, don't jump to 10 minutes. If you're able to create 2 minutes, your next goal should be 4 minutes, then 6, then 8, then 10. And maybe it's easy for you. Maybe making a 20. It's easier for me to make a 10-minute video than a 30-second video, by the way. So it might be the same for you, might not be the same for you. You'll have to try it and then it'll work for you.
Yeah.
Right. All right, guys.
Thank you.
I think this has been very insightful. We've spoken for a long time. I can say it's 1 hour 38 minutes. But I really appreciate you guys taking the time out and coming here and discussing it with us. Instead of just two of us doing a podcast, we thought might as well have everybody chime in and give us also some perspective and make it way more interactive and all help each other out.
One of the very important things is when you're asking these questions, I get to reflect on these questions myself, and it helps me test my resolve. And maybe I'm like, oh, whoa, I should have done that. Now that you spoke about having a different YouTube channel for a different thing, I'm thinking, should I upload all my covers on that? Maybe, who knows? It's not a lot of work for me at this point. So.
Analysis.
Yeah, and it's the way I would look at it is that make mistakes, calibrate, analyze, and recalibrate, and repeat.
And again do it and again make mistakes. And
so that's why I said repeat.
Prathamesh, okay, yeah, right. So Prathamesh has a last question. Does any content of your past speak to you today in a different way, providing a different meaning? Just a thought.
Oh, yeah, of course. It's not like there are pieces of content which I've made which are absolutely trash. Okay, it's gonna backfire on me. Go watch the video why I take showers at night. I've made a video on that. It's one of the most terrible videos I've ever made. Okay, that was a lot before I got into scripting, so that was horrible scripting. But every time I look at that video, I'm like, whoa, you really have to script. That grounds me into, you're not that great without scripting. So
don't delete the bad videos. I don't delete. I've done one podcast in particular which I did with somebody who was famous just for the views, and I admit that, but I will never delete it because.
You think we'll still get views because of that?
That's true. That's true. I'll promote it during the next season of Bigg Boss for sure. But nonetheless, I know now what I did wrong. So let it be that as a reminder.
Yeah, of course. I'm all for that.
Yeah. Thank you guys. I really appreciate it and really respect the time you guys put in.
Right. Thank you so much for your time. And as always.
Wait guys, let me take a photo or something for some social media validation.
Hold on. Yeah, you can take it now. Brinda came for half a second.
Brinda, it's still Brinda, this thing on my photo.
That's quick. You could have also taken a screenshot, but okay, never mind.
This is more like.
Thank you guys for your time. I genuinely mean that because time is precious.
That also on a Sunday afternoon.
I am going to send you a mail on the same mail. I'll send a list of videos and podcasts and stuff like that. Go through it at your time, or take your sweet time, but don't take too much time also. I've anyway spoken, and Anish probably knows what I share on Instagram anyway, and I keep sharing those things on my Instagram. But I'll send a small list on this mailer as well. So I hope you go through that.
Yeah, and I'll just take 5 seconds to promote myself. This video will be on my channel, so you can go subscribe and watch it.
All right.
Okay, guys. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.